Once the world opened back up, I just dove headfirst into the independent wrestling scene, wrestling anywhere I could, whether it be AEW, TNA, NWA, GCW. I didn't want to sign a contract anywhere. I wanted to be my own boss, wanted to make my own schedule, because for a decade plus, I was in WWE. And listen, I am so grateful for my time there. It set me up for this independent run. If I didn't have a WWE run, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't have this
100%.
independent run.
Yeah.
Everything I learned from WWE, it translated to the independents, believe it or not. Just how to carry yourself, how to do interviews like this, how to sell merchandise, how to market yourself. But I realized on the independents that so many people were just focused on their matches and their moves. And I'm not saying have a bad match on purpose. That's not what I'm saying. But if you don't have a connection with the audience, if they don't love you or hate you, you have nothing. And now being on the independents, I wanted to be hated, because my whole time, or the majority of my time in WWE, I was the babyface, the underdog, the good guy. But I needed to flip the script. And that's what I did. And that's why I think the Matt Cardona person, character, persona, whatever you want to call it, that's why I think it works so well in the independents.
So let me ask you this, because we were talking on the show about Cena's heel turn and how there's no doubt about it, is sacrificing merch dollars in order to do it. I've seen a million different videos of kids who are like, "You're not the guy that I
Yeah.
do," and we all know that it's a work, but to a lot of fans out there, it's not. So when you wanted to be hated, how did you use that to still sell all the merch and all the autographs despite being a heel?
See, I think on the independents, it's a lot smarter. Now, listen, there are certainly some independent shows that I do in like West Virginia, you know what I'm saying, where it's still real to them, damn it, But I think now, if you're coming to these independent shows, like you know what's going on. You recognize the year 2025. You know it's a show, right? You're there to be entertained. So they come to my table beforehand, and I'm nice to them. I'm smiling, I'm shaking hands, I'm kissing babies. But when I walk through that curtain, middle fingers in your face. You know what I'm saying? I'll take a beer, I'll throw it in your face, and they love it. They just want to be entertained. This is entertainment. It's like a movie. It's a movie that never ends.
I wish more young talent could be that way. We've talked a lot here at BTT about starting master classes and teaching young broadcasters or young talent the different nuances that go into whatever it is. And in the wrestling business, it's embracing what you're talking about, embracing being able to turn it on, turn it off, but then at the same time understanding that it's the revenue stream that you're trying to get to. So what was the time, or do you remember a night where you said, you know what, I can really make this not just get me to the next event, but really make some real coin?
So I had this death match on the independents in GCW. I don't know if you should definitely Google this one, Coach. You'll enjoy it. It's myself versus this guy, Nick Gage. And this was the match. This is the match that started everything for me on the independents, because for a year or so, I was just Matt Cardona. And even I didn't know who I was, right? Am I just Zack Ryder with a different name? I didn't know. I knew I needed to change, but you can't just come out of the gate with a new character. You got to it has to evolve, at least in my opinion. It has to be natural, And I was approached by this company, GCW, to do this death match with Nick Gage. I said, okay. Well, first, my initial reaction was, hell no. I'm not wrestling this guy. He was just on Dark Side of the Ring at the time. He was a drug addict, criminal, almost killing David Arquette in a match. I'm like, I'm not wrestling this guy. And then I took a step back and realized, wait a minute, I have to wrestle this guy, because everybody is going to be watching this. And if they're not watching it, they're going to be talking about it, right? So that night, an independent wrestling show in Atlantic City, New Jersey, because of social media and streaming and how the world is now, that trended number one online over the Olympics and a UFC event that night. Just Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage, right? Because people wanted to tune in. And if they weren't tuned in, like I said, they were talking about it or resharing the clips of me getting carved up with a pizza cutter. Anyway, I was bloody. I was a bloody mess. I wore a white t-shirt that night. I could wear like a street clothes, street fight type of feel. And I knew the white shirt would get like a couple trickles of blood on it. I'm like, it's this death match. It'll be cool, right? Yeah. This white shirt turned maroon. I'm like, okay. And then after I win the match, the fans are throwing garbage in the ring. Like, it became like a pretty cool like moment that was spread on social media. We got to do something with this shirt. Now, to go back to my WWE days, I remember WWE, like after WrestleMania, they would cut up that WrestleMania canvas and turn it to a nice plaque with an autograph, and they'd sell it on the shop. I contacted that company. I explained to him what I wanted to do. I sent them the bloody shirt. I said, please wear gloves. It's real blood. It's a bloody shirt. And we turned it into like 200, 250 plaques. I made over $20,000 on a t-shirt,
What?
essentially.
Like
You
just
know,
little like squares.
a little square. I can put a picture. I
Oh
can send
my
you a picture. A little
god.
square with an 8x10 of me wearing that shirt, all bloody, autographed. I'm like, okay, like I need to use what I learned in WWE and use it here on the independents because nobody's doing it at that level. People are selling T-shirts and stickers, little trading cards, but nobody's doing what WWE taught me how to do.
It's amazing that you mentioned that because so many people, and I went to ESPN for a decade, and then I'm
Sure.
there are all these different places, and you get there, and people go, "Oh, aren't you pissed off that?" And I left WWE. I didn't get
Right.
fired. Now
Right.
in COVID, I got that call from Michael Cole because he was like, "Hey, everybody that's not
Sure.
vital, just like Kenny, you did." But it's one of those situations where you can embrace, or you can say, and I've done this in many interviews myself. I say, this is what WWE gave to me. Instead of
Right.
being pissed off or
Sure.
Vince bounced checks or whatever he did to me, which did happen. Um, Instead saying, this is what I learned. So it's really cool to hear you say that, because so many guys would be sitting around saying, nope, they fired me. I didn't learn anything
Ah,
despite 14 years.
and I'm a fan of this business, so I've seen those bitter guys my whole life.
Right,
And
right,
I knew
right.
I just didn't want to be one of those guys. I didn't want to live like that. And I wanted to turn a negative into a positive, as cliche as that sounds. Like WWE was like my developmental. It set me up for this independent run, this whole professional wrestling run. And like I've said this in a million interviews too, but I'll say it again because it's true. Like I don't care how you define success, accolades, money, happiness. Post WWE, this independent run is the most successful I've been in my pro wrestling career.
Mm-hmm.